Welcome back to HPL. We're about to get our third match underway. We're going to have SjoW versus Kaldi. It's going to be interesting to see if SjoW keeps up with his aggressive style that he's brought here in HPL, playing a lot of Hunter, or is he going to revert back to his old ways of controlling the board?
Yeah, you know, historically tended to favor these control styles, but we haven't seen that so far from him here in HPL. And Kaldi, you know, once again, would love to see him try to utilize strategies that are going to leverage his health in a better way. Not necessarily just play control games and try to go toe-to-toe with SjoW. Try to do something to get that little extra edge. Warlock, I think, would be right up his alley. You know, as far as that's concerned, though, it's really anyone's guess what both these guys are going to play. I would have to think that Kaldi's going to continue to go with control decks, though.
Yeah, and if Kaldi continues to go control decks, you got to think SjoW's going to try to put it to him with some really aggressive draws out of his Hunter decks that he's been utilizing very, very well here in HPL.
Yeah, if he can't get that sort of start that allows him to scale into that mid game, maybe get something like Savannah Hyman on the board, he could be struggling in that sort of match, but I don't necessarily expect that to be the case. You know, we saw him play Mech Mage versus Purple last week. Didn't work out for him. Purple was able to use Snipe to take out a Tinkertown Technician on turn 3, and that snowballed the game completely out of control. But, you know, the fact that he's playing some kind of tempo-oriented strategies, you know, I don't necessarily have a problem with that.
Yeah, you definitely can't get too down about one loss here in HPL. I mean, it is just one loss. He's 2-1. He's been doing great in his first 3 matches. And speaking of first matches, here's the first game between SjoW and Kaldi. We're going to have to see what they bring. You know, we made our predictions. What do you guys think? Get out there on Twitter. Use that hashtag HPL. Let us know who's going to win. What do you think they're going to play? Who's the favorite? Who's going to do the first oddball thing here this match? Let us know, guys. Game 1, SjoW versus Kaldi.
Yeah, so Mulligan's been underway. We're going to get this perspective up for you guys as soon as we can. And in the meantime, Kaldi looking bright today.
Yeah, Kaldi does look bright. You know, I know a lot of these guys were a little under the weather after DreamHack last week. They seem to be a little bit of something going around.
So it's going to be Warrior from SjoW. No surprise whatsoever. Glad to see him play here in HPL. And Kaldi sort of continued this mid-range style. Azure Drake really indicating this is a Dragon Warlock deck. You know, kind of couple that with the fact that he's got Emperor Thoris on his hand, and there's a Twilight Drake. This is looking excellently for him. Love to see that he's leveraging his life total early on to try to get to those big Twilight Drake turns. Is SjoW going to have the right answers to deal with what Kaldi throws at him?
Yeah, it's going to be, does SjoW have the right answers, and does he have the right pressure? Kaldi is going to have the, you know, the early Twilight Drake. Since he has 2 of them, there's a chance you actually see one here this turn. There's a chance he coins, yeah, he's going to coin Twilight Drake, and he's going to be on the board in a big way here early against SjoW. SjoW's still looking for some of those combo pieces to help him get through this game here. He needs a few more things here to get this Grim Patron off the board. I mean, off the ground, though.
Yeah, it looks to me like he's going to leverage his life total on his own, though. Wants to keep his threats protected a little bit. Doesn't mind the 4 damage early on. Not a big deal to him. Going to use Execute to finish this off and then kind of push forward from here. You know, with a Whirlwind in his hand, and he's also got Battle Rage. This is looking great for SjoW so far. I mean, it's a matter of whether or not he can weather these threats that Kaldi's going to throw at him.
Yeah, he's got a Whirlwind and a Battle Rage coupled with his Acolyte of Pain and his Loot Hoarder. These are going to draw him a ton of cards over the next couple turns, but Kaldi has already drawn a lot of extra cards and is going to put the pressure back on SjoW here with a Twilight Drake.
Yeah, I mean, stuff like Twilight Drake 2 will force your opponent to react to a circumstance like this. And with Frothing Berserker and Whirlwind, there's a potential to really get a big minion here. But how big does he want to make it? You know, is he fearing something like Big Game Hunter out of Kaldi? If he puts that into a 7 attack range, that could, you know, be a little bit of a downside.
Yeah, you always have to fear something like a Big Game Hunter, but also once you get into like turn 6, you fear something like Siphon Soul as well. So there's like, you know, some diminishing returns on which way you go with that. And if you start to put a lot of pressure on Kaldi early and he doesn't have the Big Game Hunter, you might be able to pull super far ahead.
Wow, Inner Rage, fantastic pickup from SjoW. Going to be able to get a lot of extra cards drawn here. I fully expect him to Battle Rage here as well.
Yeah, he's going to be able to draw a ton of extra cards here this turn. He can even take care of this Twilight Drake from here if he wants to.
Yeah, it looks like a good Armor Smith, Whirlwind, Battle Rage maybe. Couple different options to choose. Running out of time, but still plenty of time to get the action done. And really only a couple sequences left. So making full use of all of his tools so far. You know, Whirlwind isn't fantastic against this Warlock deck. It's a second Acolyte of Pain too. This is a lot of draws that he's going to pick up here. And even more on the 3rd card draw from this Acolyte of Pain.
Ooh, Dr. Boom. That's an interesting one.
And Emperor Thoris on. This is looking fantastic for SjoW.
Yeah, just a great turn from SjoW. Drew, I think, 5 extra cards that turn. Developed his board a little bit. You know, he lost the minions that he had out, but he has an Armor Smith left over and a ton of action left in his hand.
Yeah, so
really cementing for the long game here.
Yeah, I mean, Kaldi, I mean, you talk about a deck that draws extra cards, Warlock definitely does it, but with starts like that, SjoW is going to be right there with him. So Azure Drake going to be the play. This is likely to be met with something like Death Bite, but you know, when you have Emperor Thorson in your hand,
it's really hard to pass it up.
Yeah, it definitely is, but you know, leaving behind an Azure Drake can be so scary in so many positions. Not only is it going to be getting in repetitive damage, but it's also you know, increasing that spell power. So maybe something like Mortal Coil and Dark Bomb can be utilized better. Love that he's just taking care of it straight away and then looking forward to move into his later stages of the turn. And with his hand, he's got the tools, I think, to do it.
Yeah, you got to like this play from him here. He has Acolyte of Pain, Frothing Berserker, and Grim Patron all in his hands. All great plays next turn into using your Death Spite and getting its Death Rattle trigger here. And you're going to see an Emperor Thorson from Kaldi. He's not passing up his opportunity at Emperor.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough to. But, you know, Death Spite's going to check it straight away. And then SjoW's got a massive amount of threats he can throw behind that. Even picks up
Grom. Wow.
Wow. I mean, he's going to lose. If he chooses to use this Death Spite here to take out this Emperor Thorson, he is losing his ability to trigger Grom right now. But you know, again, with how many cards he's drawn and how many cards he can still draw between Acolyte of Pain and Novice Inventor, you know, you can easily find one.
Yeah, this is an interesting turn here for SjoW as well. I think we're going to see a Doctor Boom out of him here instead of actually trying to get a lot of value off of this. Or actually, we're going to see an Emperor Thorson just setting up the next couple turns. He's going to try to combo out as quickly as possible from here.
I mean, cannot blame him for dropping Emperor here. Kaldi has no way on board to deal with it, so he's going to be almost forced to do something to take care of this Emperor this turn. I mean, is it going to be Iron Beak Owl? Very much could. Zombie Child, a you know, terrible draw at this point in the game.
Yeah, something he really wants early. You know what? Zombie Chow in his deck against SjoW, a lot of the decks that he's been bringing here to HPL, great card against them. Against this matchup, not so much.
Yeah, kind of just going back to his roots and making sure he can keep the pressure up. So how does Kaldi move forward from here? I mean, again, no clean way to kill this Emperor this turn. He's going to have to invest multiple cards into this or leave a 5/5 body behind.
Yeah, he's going to draw an extra card. Now, the Dark Bomb does give him some remotely clean ways. It allows him to point 2 spells if he wants to use Dark Bomb plus Soulfire, but he's going to have to discard a card here, and the rest of his turns are not going to be great. He could Implosion plus Dark Bomb, which is probably a better option here since you get some actual minions left over. The Armor's supposed to be able to pick them off. Oh, he gets the full 4 here as well.
Yeah, it doesn't have a Mortal Coil to couple with it, though, so Dark Bomb a little bit inefficient, you know, overkilling this minion. And you know, getting the imps out, that's really the big difference in this board state. He needs something on the board to get the ball rolling, but if SjoW had something like Warsong Commander and Grim Patron here, it would have been a disaster for Kaldi, but I just don't think he has a way to realistically play around that.
He has no way to play around. It's a risk he has to take here and to get himself back in this game. He understands what's going on and what's happening here from the rest of the turns, so he needs to do something proactive. He needs to get on this board, and this gives him a lot of information about what SjoW is working with for the rest of the game. This gives him a ton of information on what kind of hand he has left.
Oh, it looks like SjoW's just going to go for pressure here.
Oh, we're getting aggressive. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, with the Cruel Taskmaster in hand, I cannot blame him whatsoever. I mean, he's got 15 damage lined up with Grom and Cruel Taskmaster, so I fully expect him to start committing to this board position and really put the pressure on Kaldi. That extra damage actually very important, believe it or not.
Yeah, this Gromish Cruel Taskmaster is enough to kill Kaldi if he doesn't do something about it now. Now, he has an anti-kill bot in his hand. He can gain a ton of life this turn, but he doesn't have a lot of efficient ways to deal with the minions on SjoW's side of the board.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have to, you know, if he wants to kill all this stuff, he's going to have to use Shadow Flame. So if he goes something like anti-kill bot, Abusive Sergeant, Shadow Flame, I think that's about the best turn he's going to get.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty clean and good turn, but it's going to be interesting to see what SjoW does from here. SjoW has a lot of ways to really ramp it up from there, and since he may just Grom anyway into this empty board. Next turn, you may see him Grom Cruel Taskmaster if Kaldi removes his entire board here.
Yeah, I mean, once you see Abusive Sergeant on the anti-heal bot, I think you can safely, especially from the position the hand it was, you can safely assume there wasn't something like Abusive Sergeant, Big Game Hunter available on the turn that you used Emperor Thorson.
I mean, even if there is a Big Game Hunter, you still have things like Dr. Boom, Frothing Berserker, Grim Patron behind that. All right, we're going to see Kaldi actually do some silencing here.
He's going to continue to focus on you know, being very proactive. He doesn't want to use Shadow Flame on minor threats. I cannot blame him for that whatsoever. You just use silences to take out the Acolyte of Pain's draw potential, but you know, kind of sitting in a precarious spot here. You know, he's at 23, but this deck can come out swinging very, very easily. But like you said, the read that he has on this right now is the way that SjoW dealt with the imps is he just ignored them. He just fortified his board position. So Kaldi feels safe knowing that he doesn't have something like Warsong Commander in his hand, I think.
Yeah, not having Warsong Commander is like what's keeping SjoW from winning this game in the last 2 turns. If he had one, this game would have probably been over by now. Kaldi would have been put in positions that either would have killed him or he would not have been able to recover from. But SjoW is still looking for that card. He has a ton of cards into his deck, but he hasn't found one yet.
Yeah, second Zombie Chow, no way to utilize this stuff. And if he wants to take care of this board pressure, I mean, he does have to take some sort of a risk here to really get the job done. So seeing how he handles this moving forward is is really going to be telling of exactly how this happens. He can Malagos Soulfire, though. I mean,
I'll say we might see Malagos Soulfire on Dr. Boom here, but that is a big commitment.
Yeah, I mean, Malagos really a central part of the win condition of this deck, that 5 spell power that it's going to give you. He wants to be using that to point damage at SjoW's face, but I don't think he may just not have another clean option with something like 2 Zombie Chows in his hand. Yeah. I mean, those cards are effectively dead right now.
Yeah, it's generally the way this deck wins, and putting it on the board, he has to hope that SjoW doesn't have a way to kill it, something like Execute. Being a 4/12, it's very hard for this deck to deal enough damage to it to kill it, but Execute is going to be a nice, clean way to get rid of it. And Whirlwind, not a bad pickup either. You might be able to have a pretty big Whirlwind, Frothing Berserker, Grim Patron, Execute turn here.
Yeah, I mean, I have to feel that with the way this game has panned out, that both of these guys have very solid reads on exactly what their opponents have available to him. Kaldi, I think this is just one of those positions where he has to take a big risk with the Malagos and hope that it works out his way. Again, he just doesn't have the right pressure on board to take care of all these things. You know, he has to just kind of put it out there and hope that it lives. If it doesn't, I mean, if it does live, he finds himself in great shape.
Yeah, SjoW could have also straight up attacked Malagos with Grom, Cruel Taskmaster this turn and not used his Execute, but you got to believe he might want to be a little more mana efficient this turn, develop a huge board, see if Kaldi can deal with that, and if Kaldi can't, because he didn't sweep him last turn, if Kaldi can't deal with it from here, then he might have a pretty big turn behind that with Grom finishing the game.
Yeah, 11 points of damage on Execute is about the best you're going to get from that one, so no shame whatsoever in using it. I mean, investing the Grom that way I think would, could potentially be disastrous. So it looks like it's going to be Grom Whirlwind here.
Yeah, still.
Oh, no, he's going to
Grom Cruel Taskmaster. Yeah, he's still going to wait around to see if he can draw this Warsong Commander just in this game. He actually got an Imp put into play on Kaldi's side, which is actually good for SjoW going forward if he wants to combo off of Grim Patron.
Yeah, I mean, Kaldi, once again, he can't clear this, but he has no action moving forward.
Oh, Big Game Hunter off the top from the life tap there. What a draw from Kaldi here, being able to cleanly answer this Grom. SjoW needs to find a Warsong Commander and quick.
Yeah, I mean, this was an absolute huge draw from Kaldi, but, he's sitting at 9. And he doesn't have a ton of pressure moving forward here. I mean, SjoW's still at 24 health here, so not a lot of, he's got plenty of time on his side of the board.
He just says role play, just assumes he's dead. I like that.
That's a pretty darn good draw right now. It's going to get in, 8 more points of damage to the dome should he choose, but, he could divide this up maybe to the minions too. It's anyone's guess at this point. At this point, he's just hunting for a Warsong Commander.
Yeah, he's just hunting for a Warsong Commander, but he's also doing a lot of math on what his exact outs are to kill Kaldi next turn if he attacks him versus attacking a minion here and how much damage he can take doing that.
Yeah. So we're going to divide this up the best way.
Because if he does attack a minion here, which, yeah, I was going to say, I think he's going to. If he does attack a minion here, he can be patient, but he can have a huge turn next turn with Grim Patron, Frothing Berserker with the War Bites Death Rattle trigger. And that's a late Mortal Coil for Kaldi here. They've been very good earlier in the game.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of opportunities for SjoW to just, continue to bide his time and make sure he's not overcommitting to the board position and just waiting for the right answers here. Again, this is what happens when you leave players in these positions where you can have control over the board, but you don't have a lot of pressure moving forward. I love the Mortal Coil here, just to pick an extra
what
option.
A huge draw here.
Yeah, that's an absolutely important one here. But again, Warsong Commander is going to be more than enough for SjoW should he draw that. Yeah. It's just a matter of whether or not he can get it in time.
Yeah, if he draws a Warsong Commander here, I think it's something like 20-something damage, so... this is going to give him a lot of draws here.
Yeah, that's going to be the one. Wow, he actually chooses to draw 1 card with it. Just going for the Warsong Commander. That's very surprising to me.
Yeah, you wouldn't see him like Grim Patron, maybe 1 Frothing Berserker here, attack with his Death Spite, draw a bunch of extra cards. I think he's trying to kill him in 1 turn here.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's trying to do. It's just, it's just sort of.
You can see some stress on SjoW here.
Yeah, very different, I think, than his usual game plan. Which is just, try to get to the right cards. I mean, if he draws enough cards, he will have the pressure to kill him.
With the way that Kaldi's been playing, and he's been playing the right card from his hand every turn, he also knows that Kaldi doesn't have a lot. Ooh, a second Big Game Hunter. Interesting build from Kaldi here. But he knows that Kaldi doesn't have a ton of, burst damage, and the Malagos is already gone, so he's not fearing dying over the next turn or two. Maybe he's going to be able to, gain some life here with Armorsmith next turn. I feel that, if he doesn't draw a Warsong Commander here, you will see him start to commit to the board with a Whirlwind here and maybe a Frothing Berserker, maybe a Grim Patron, since he has an extra copy of that in his deck still. He can gain a ton of life here from this.
It might just be too late at this point too. I mean, Kaldi can take out this Armorsmith with the Antique Healbot and his 1/1 token, keep all of his minions protected from the Whirlwind effect off the Death Spite, and he also is going to have Imp Gang Boss behind that. It was just, there's so much coming out here from Kaldi. It's just a matter of how he wants to do it. At this point, it looks like he's got complete control of the game.
Yeah, I'm not so sure though. SjoW has some pretty good turns next turn as well, where he can he can attack Deathbite into Azure Drake and then clean up both big game hunters with Whirlwind, getting value off of them with his Frothing Berserker and or Grim Patrons.
Yeah, look how aggressive he's being too. Just plays the other big game hunter to get 4 points of power on the board. SjoW, he's got Whirlwind to start dealing with this.
Probably do it.
Yeah, Warsong Commander is going to more than end this game. That is a ton of damage from Frothing Berserkers, and that's exactly the kind of turn he was looking for. You know, the Battle Rage makes a lot more sense when you take a look at his deck size too. He's only got about 6 or 7
I was just
cards
saying,
left.
like, he's just trying to kill him in one turn here. He only needed to draw a specific card that he had 2 of left in his deck. So the odds are in his favor that he's actually going to draw it over that turn or next turn or the turn after that, and he's probably not going to die because he can start committing 1 or 2 pieces of the combo to the board and still have enough behind to kill Kaldi, but Kaldi is priced into always attacking those pieces of the combo that are in play because he can't let them sit around. So therefore, it's even more life gain for SjoW.
Yeah, just all the pressure on his side of the board, and now these Frothing Berserkers are going to
We're just counting up the 32 damage here.
Just the old 16-point charge Frothing Berserkers. Easy game there for SjoW. But yeah, really like the way that he panned out in this game. You know, he had all the card draw he needed early on to keep up with exactly what Kaldi was trying to do. And really the story of this is that the amount of pressure that Kaldi was applying to SjoW just wasn't there. And so that gave SjoW the time he needed to get deep into his deck and find the right cards.
Yeah, you also see him have to use his Malagos early in a way that he didn't really want to. It was the only way that he could answer a Dr. Boom, but that leaves him leaves his nose open a little bit later in the game because now he doesn't have that late game burst, that push to finish a game. Not having the extra spell damage just means that he's always trying to hunt for ways to kill you by attacking you for like 4 and 6 a turn, and that wasn't enough to get through to SjoW.
Yeah, with that +5 on there, he wants to use stuff like Dark Bomb and Soulfire and point those at the dome to really get the job done, but wasn't able to do it in this game. If you guys want to see exactly how that strategy has worked in the past, you can do it. It's been played here in HPL so far. You can head over to pvplive.net and take a look at all the games that have been played, their recaps, stats, the strategies these players have chosen, and more importantly, how they choose to play them. So SjoW out to a 1-0 lead. Kaldi's got a little bit of work to do. They're going to the drawing board and making changes to their decks as we speak. That's the HPL format. They can play anything they want at any time. Guys, don't go anywhere. Game 2 is going to be getting underway when we come back. You're watching Hearthstone on PvP Live.